Hi, I am Tamara Hancock, Jill of all trades, Master of Mom, and today we're going to learn about making raspberry jam. The first thing you need to know is what you need to have on hand to make raspberry jam. You're going to need half-pint jelly jars, lids and rings, a jar lifter, a ladle, a lid lifter, a funnel, a potato masher, fruit, sugar, pectin, lemon juice, and butter. First, you'll need to take your half-pint jelly jars and clean and sterilize them. The best way to do this is to use your dishwasher on the sterilized setting. The reason this is important is you need to get rid of any bacteria or microbes that may be inside of the jar that would cause your food to spoil. The next step is to take all of your lids and put them into water on the stove to simmer. This activates the glue on the bottom of the lid to make sure that your jars seal. It's important to keep your sterilized jars hot before you fill them with the hot jam, so I like to keep them in my canner on the stove with the water simmering below them. To prepare your fruit, you're going to need 5 cups of crushed fruit. I like to use a potato masher because it still leaves some chunks of fruit, but doesn't puree it too small. You want to make sure that you crush and not puree the fruit because cooked jam has big pieces of fruit in it. To cook the jam, you're going to first add your crushed fruit and pectin to a large stock pot and bring it to a boil. Pectin can be found in the baking aisle of any grocery store. Next, we'll stir constantly until the raspberry and pectin mixture comes to a boil. Add your sugar all at once and stir it in. You'll also want to add 1 tablespoon of butter to your raspberry and sugar mixture to keep it from foaming too much as it goes into the next boiling stage. Once the sugar and butter are added, stir constantly until it comes to a rapid boil. At that point, let boil for 1 minute before removing from the heat. Now that the filling is hot and ready, we're going to take the hot jars from the canner and bring them over here so that we can fill them. Remove the jars from the canning rack to keep the canning rack clean and to keep it from getting jam all over it as you fill the jars. Fill the hot jars with the hot liquid using a ladle and a funnel. Fill the jars within 1/8 inch of the top of the rim. This is called your headspace. Using a clean rag, wipe the rims of every jar to make sure that you have a good clean seal for your lid. Once all the jelly jars are filled, you're going to seal them using your 2-part lids. Using a lid lifter, take the warm lids out of your simmering water and place them on the top of your jelly jars. Don't worry about them dripping water, it's okay. When screwing on the rings, make sure that they're fingertip tight. Not too tight, just tight enough that you can get them closed with your fingertips. I like to use a towel because the jars are very hot. Using a jar lifter, place your hot-filled jars inside your hot canner. When doing so, make sure that you place them far enough apart that the jars are not touching. This keeps them from banging against each other during cooking. Once the jars are all in the canner, you're going to lower the rack down into the boiling water. Make sure that the jars are covered with 1 to 2 inches of water above the rings. Once you have your jars loaded into your rack and lowered into your canner, filled with the right amount of water, we're going to bring it up to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, we're going to cover it and let it boil for 10 minutes. This is the processing time. One tip that I'd like to mention is here we have really hard water. So in order to keep the jars clear and to keep them from getting hard water spots on them, I add 1/4 cup of just plain white vinegar to the water when the jars are boiling in the canner. Now that the jam is processed, we're going to go ahead and remove it from the canner and set it on racks to cool. Canning raspberry jam may seem difficult, but honestly, it's one of the easiest things you can do in the kitchen. I love canning because I can pick the fruit at the height of the season and enjoy it year-round. A jar of raspberry jam will last on your shelf 1 to 2 years if you don't eat it first. I'm Tamara Hancock with Jill of All Trades, Master of Mom. For more canning tips and information, feel free to visit www.tamarahancock.com.